Living in California has become impossible for many, but did you know that there are families in California who pay more than half of their income on rent alone? Or that there are freeways so congested that spending hours stuck in traffic has become part of the daily routine? And that every year thousands of people leave the state fleeing wildfires, drought, and an ever-rising cost of living? California is a place full of contrasts, as dazzling as they are difficult to bear. So buckle up, because we're going to reveal 35 reasons why living in California has become impossible. 35. Sky-high housing prices. California's housing market is one of the most expensive in the United States. In many cities, the median home price hovers well above $800,000, and in San Francisco, it can easily soar past $1.3 million. Renting isn't much easier, with one-bedroom apartments in major metros like Los Angeles or San Diego often exceeding $2,500 per month. These numbers don't just squeeze wallets, they create a sense of hopelessness for first-time buyers and young families who feel permanently locked out of home ownership. The state's shortage of affordable housing, strict zoning laws, and soaring demand combine to form a perfect storm. Compared to other states where you can still buy a spacious home for a fraction of the cost, California's prices feel more like bidding for a luxury yacht than a roof over your head. 34th, outrageous cost of living. Housing is only the beginning. In California, nearly everything from groceries to gas comes at a premium. Food staples like milk, eggs, and fresh produce often cost significantly more than the national average, and restaurant dining can feel like a special occasion rather than a casual option. Gas prices are consistently the highest in the country thanks to state taxes, environmental regulations, and distribution issues. Utilities and healthcare also weigh heavily on household budgets. When you add it all up, the cost of living in California is almost 50% higher than the US average. It's no surprise that even those with solid incomes find themselves struggling to stretch their paychecks. Living here can feel like running on a treadmill that never stops, always working, yet never catching up. Before we continue, make sure to subscribe and give a like to discover interesting facts to share that few people know about the US states. 33. Wildfire risk. The beauty of California's forests and mountains comes at a steep price. Fire. Year after year, massive wildfires ravage the state, destroying thousands of homes, displacing families, and leaving behind billions of dollars in damages. Areas like Napa, Sonoma, and much of Northern California are under constant threat during the dry season. Smoke pollution often travels for hundreds of miles, lowering air quality for millions who may live far from the flames. Insurance companies are pulling out of high-risk regions, leaving homeowners with little protection or sky-high premiums. The unpredictability of these disasters makes life stressful. Imagine planning a family barbecue in August and suddenly having to evacuate your entire neighborhood. That's a reality many Californians face each summer and fall. 32nd earthquake threat. California sits directly on the San Andreas Fault, making it one of the most earthquake-prone regions in the world. While not every tremor causes damage, the looming possibility of the big one creates unease for residents. Buildings may be retrofitted and safety protocols improved, but the truth is that no city in California can escape the underlying risk. Earthquake insurance is expensive and rarely covers the full cost of damages, leaving homeowners vulnerable. Unlike hurricanes or tornadoes, earthquakes strike without warning, turning a calm afternoon into a chaotic disaster in seconds. For many people, that constant underlying threat makes living here less appealing, especially when you can live elsewhere without the ground shaking beneath your feet. 31st homelessness crisis. Few images capture California's contradictions better than its homelessness problem. In Los Angeles alone, tens of thousands of people live in tents and makeshift shelters, lining sidewalks and freeway underpasses. San Francisco, Oakland, and Sacramento face similar challenges. Despite billions of dollars allocated to tackle the crisis, the numbers continue to grow, fueled by housing costs, addiction issues, and mental health struggles. Entire neighborhoods feel transformed by sprawling encampments, creating concerns over sanitation, public safety, and basic dignity. The problem isn't just visible, it's unavoidable. Walking through downtown areas often means stepping past human suffering that feels both overwhelming and unsolvable. 30. Congested traffic. California is infamous for gridlock. Whether it's Los Angeles 405 freeway, San Francisco's Bay Bridge, or even suburban corridors in Orange County, traffic can devour hours of a person's life each week. Public transportation options are limited outside a few major hubs, forcing most people into cars. Commutes of 60 to 90 minutes each way are considered normal, and unexpected delays are a daily frustration. This congestion not only wastes time, but also fuels stress and lowers overall quality quality of life. Imagine finishing a long day at work only to sit in your car for another hour before seeing your front door. That's California living for millions. 29th tax burden. California's taxes are among the steepest in the nation. The state income tax tops out at 13.3%, the highest in the United States, and sales tax averages close to 8.8%. Property taxes, while not the worst, still add up quickly given the high home values. Businesses also face some of the nation's toughest tax structures, which discourages entrepreneurship and drives companies to relocate to states like Texas or Nevada. For everyday residents, this means less disposable income and fewer savings. Even those earning six-figure salaries can feel trapped, wondering why so much of their paycheck disappears before they even hit the grocery store. 28. Rising crime rates in urban areas. California's major cities are grappling with troubling crime trends. Property crimes like car break-ins, thefts, and burglaries have surged in cities like San Francisco and Oakland. Violent crimes, while not everywhere, are climbing in certain neighborhoods, leaving residents uneasy about walking alone at night. Law enforcement agencies often appear stretched thin, and debates over policing policies fuel more uncertainty. For residents, it's not just about statistics. It's about the lived experience of checking your car window twice before leaving it parked, or avoiding certain blocks altogether. Safety, once a baseline expectation, feels like a luxury in many parts of the state. 27. Drought and water restrictions. Water scarcity has long plagued California, and recent years have made the situation dire. Extended droughts force cities and counties to impose strict water restrictions, no lawn watering, limited car washes, and even penalties for overuse. Reservoirs like Lake Mead and Lake Oroville have dropped to record lows, sparking fears about future supply. Farmers in the Central Valley, who feed much of the nation, are hit particularly hard, leading to reduced crop yields and higher food prices for everyone. For everyday residents, drought means brown lawns, dry landscapes, and the nagging fear that one day the tap may not run. Living in a place where water feels like a luxury creates constant anxiety about sustainability. 26. Declining air quality. California's air quality is among the worst in the nation, thanks to a combination of vehicle emissions, industrial pollution, and wildfire smoke. Cities like Los Angeles are infamous for smog, while Central Valley towns often suffer from agricultural dust and pesticide drift. During wildfire season, the air can turn hazardous, forcing schools to close and people to stay indoors for days at a time. For those with asthma, allergies, or respiratory issues, the situation can be especially dangerous. Even on clear days, many residents feel the sting in their lungs after a jog or outdoor activity. While California may boast incredible outdoor beauty, the irony is that enjoying it often comes with a breath of polluted air. 25. Struggling public transportation. While California is known for innovation, its public transportation network often feels outdated and disconnected. Unlike New York, where subways run 24/7, or Chicago, where trains connect sprawling neighborhoods, California's systems are patchy. Los Angeles has been expanding its metro, but it still falls short of serving a metro region with nearly 19 million people. San Francisco's BART system connects the Bay Area, but has frequent delays, rising fares, and complaints of safety issues. Outside major cities, buses are limited and often unreliable. This lack of efficient transit forces most residents into cars, fueling traffic congestion and pollution. For newcomers expecting a world-class system in one of the richest states in the nation, the reality is both surprising and frustrating. 24. Rising utility costs. California residents don't just pay more for homes and groceries, they also pay some of the highest utility bills in the country. Electricity rates have climbed rapidly, in part due to wildfire prevention programs and infrastructure investments. Water, already scarce, comes at a premium with added charges during drought seasons. Internet and phone services also tend to cost more compared to many other states. On top of that, rolling blackouts, especially during heat waves, remind residents that high prices don't always guarantee reliability. Imagine paying hundreds of dollars each month for utilities only to have the power cut during the hottest week of the year. That's a uniquely Californian frustration. 23. High insurance premiums. Whether it's car, home, or health insurance, Californians pay a steep price. Car insurance rates are inflated by dense traffic, high accident rates, and theft risks. Homeowners insurance is skyrocketing in fire-prone regions, with some providers withdrawing entirely, forcing families to rely on costly state-backed plans. Health insurance premiums also trend higher, reflecting both the state's elevated cost of living and medical expenses. This combination leaves many households spending spending thousands annually just to stay insured. When you compare it with states where insurance costs are half as much, it becomes clear why people feel financially suffocated here. 22nd tech industry pressure. California is home to Silicon Valley, the global center of technology. While this creates opportunities, it also brings extreme competition, inflated salaries that skew housing markets, and an overwhelming work culture. Cities like San Jose, Palo Alto, and Mountain View are dominated by tech money, which drives costs up for everyone, not just engineers at big companies. Residents outside the industry often find themselves priced out of neighborhoods or unable to compete for housing. The culture of constant innovation also means relentless pressure, long work hours, skyrocketing rents near tech hubs, and a social divide between the tech elite and everyone else. It's exciting from the outside, but exhausting for those trying to keep up inside. 21st, gentrification and displacement. California's desirable cities are undergoing rapid gentrification. Neighborhoods once affordable to working-class families are transformed by luxury apartments, upscale cafes, and boutique shops. While this revitalization brings investment, it also pushes longtime residents out. Los Angeles neighborhoods like Echo Park and Highland Park have seen rents triple in less than a decade. San Francisco's Mission District, once a cultural stronghold for Latino families, has been reshaped by tech wealth. Displacement is not just about moving, it's about communities losing their identity, culture, and sense of belonging. For many Californians, the emotional toll of watching their neighborhoods transformed into playgrounds for the wealthy makes the state feel alien. 20. Overcrowded schools. California's public school system struggles under the weight of overcrowding. Classrooms often pack in more than 30 students, making individualized attention nearly impossible. Teachers face burnout, and parents worry about declining educational quality. Funding imbalances between wealthy districts and poorer ones exacerbate the issue, leaving some children with fewer resources, outdated textbooks, or limited extracurricular opportunities. Despite high taxes, families often feel they must turn to costly private schools to ensure their children get a proper education. When education, the foundation of opportunity, becomes strained, it casts doubt on the long-term future of the state. 19. Healthcare access challenges. Although California has some of the best hospitals and medical schools in the country, access to healthcare isn't always straightforward. Long wait times for appointments, high premiums, and shortages of providers in rural areas leave many residents underserved. In cities, the cost of care can feel staggering, even for routine procedures. Meanwhile, the state's large population means the system is constantly stretched thin. For families who need frequent medical attention, the experience can feel like a constant battle. Long drives to find available specialists, months-long waits, and bills that keep arriving long after treatment. 18. Parking nightmares. In California's cities, owning a car is practically unavoidable, yet parking is often a daily struggle. In Los Angeles, circling the block for 20 minutes before finding a spot is a common ritual. San Francisco's hilly streets and strict parking regulations add layers of frustration, with hefty tickets for even minor mistakes. Apartment complexes often charge hundreds extra for parking spaces, and downtown garages demand steep hourly rates. For many, the irony is hard to ignore. You're forced to drive because public transit is lacking, but then punished with sky-high costs and endless hassle just to leave your car somewhere legally. 17. Political polarization. California is often seen as a progressive state, but beneath that image lies deep political polarization. Urban centers like Los Angeles, San Francisco, and Sacramento lean strongly liberal, while many inland regions are far more conservative. This divide fuels tension over policies ranging from environmental regulations to housing development. Residents often feel caught in constant political debates, whether it's about taxes, healthcare, or education reform. For some, the never-ending ideological clashes create exhaustion, as if daily life is inseparable from heated arguments about governance. The lack of middle ground makes consensus rare and progress slow. 16. Complex regulations. California is notorious for its maze of regulations. From strict building codes to environmental standards and labor laws, the rules are exhaustive and often expensive to follow. While many are designed to protect workers and the environment, they can stifle small businesses and inflate prices for consumers. For example, opening a simple restaurant or shop can require navigating dozens of permits and compliance checks, each costing time and money. Farmers, truckers, and contractors frequently voice frustrations about red tape that slows productivity. For residents, this translates into fewer local businesses, higher service costs, and an overall sense of bureaucracy that weighs down daily life. 15. Natural disaster fatigue. Californians live with an exhausting cycle of natural threats. Wildfires in summer and fall, floods floods during heavy rains, earthquakes lurking at any moment, and rolling blackouts to prevent electrical sparks. Even when one crisis subsides, another looms. This constant state of readiness creates mental fatigue. Families keep go bags by the door, schools run regular drills, and insurance companies withdraw from high-risk areas. The psychological burden is real. Residents must always wonder, what's next? For many, it feels impossible to build a stable life when nature seems determined to knock it down. 14. Overcrowding in popular regions. California's allure draws millions, but the result is suffocating density in many areas. Beaches are packed, hiking trails clogged, and tourist hotspots like Disneyland or Yosemite feel more like crowded malls than escapes into funner nature. In cities, the population density translates into long lines for everything: restaurants, coffee shops, even basic errands. Overcrowding also strains infrastructure from freeways to water supplies. Instead of enjoying the state's beauty, many residents spend more time waiting their turn just to experience it. 13th, increasing homogeneity of jobs. While California offers opportunities in entertainment, agriculture, and tech, the economy has become increasingly dominated by a few industries. Silicon Valley monopolizes the north, Hollywood dominates the south, and farming powers the Central Valley. This creates vulnerability. If one industry slows, whole regions feel the impact. Workers outside these sectors often find limited career advancement, forcing relocations or career shifts. The lack of a more balanced economic structure leaves residents feeling boxed in, as though the Golden State is only golden if you fit into certain molds. 12. Declining infrastructure. Despite its wealth, California's infrastructure is deteriorating. Roads are riddled with potholes, bridges need repairs, and public spaces often feel neglected. The state's ambitious high-speed rail project has become infamous for delays and ballooning costs. A symbol of infrastructure promises that never quite deliver. Daily commuters feel the impact: longer drives, damaged cars, and unreliable systems. Compared to states that maintain smoother highways or efficient transit expansions, California's infrastructure feels like it's cracking under the weight of its own population and ambitions. 11. Noise pollution. Life in California is rarely quiet. In cities, the symphony of car horns, helicopters, construction, and late-night sirens is constant. Even suburban areas aren't immune, with leaf blowers, traffic hum, and neighborhood parties stretching into the night. Add in the roar of planes near LAX or SFO, and silence feels like a luxury. For many, the noise seeps into daily stress levels, making rest and relaxation harder to come by. When peace and quiet become as rare as affordable rent, it's no wonder residents crave calmer states. Before moving on to the 10 most impressive, remember to subscribe to the channel and give it a like to become a wise American geography expert. 10. Expensive childcare. For families, childcare costs in California can be staggering. In many counties, daycare for a toddler exceeds $16,000 per year, more than tuition at some universities. Nannies, babysitters, and after-school programs carry equally steep price tags. This forces many parents to make difficult choices. One parent may leave the workforce entirely, or families may spend huge portions of their income just to cover childcare. For working-class households, it creates a cycle of stress and financial instability. Raising children in California feels less like building a family dream and more like managing a financial obstacle course. 9. Limited space for expansion. California's geography is breathtaking but limiting. With the Pacific Ocean on one side, deserts on another, and mountains slicing through its landscape, there isn't much room left to expand. Cities have little available land, leading to vertical building and dense development. As a result, prices soar, traffic worsens, and open spaces disappear. For residents who crave space, yards, wide streets, or room to grow, the state increasingly feels claustrophobic. Unlike places where expansion is possible outward, California is boxed in by its own natural beauty. 8. Cultural elitism. California often projects itself as a cultural trendsetter, which can feel alienating. In cities like Los Angeles and San Francisco, there's a sense of exclusivity. If you don't keep up with the latest trends, diets, or lifestyles, you're left behind. This elitism seeps into daily interactions, from coffee shop conversations to neighborhood associations. While some embrace it as part of California's forward-thinking identity, others see it as snobbery that divides rather than unites. For those seeking a grounded, inclusive environment, the constant competition over who is most progressive or most innovative can be exhausting. 7. Shortage of affordable housing units. Beyond high prices, the sheer shortage of units worsens the crisis. Tens of thousands of new homes are needed annually, yet construction lags far behind demand. Stringent zoning laws, community opposition, and environmental hurdles slow building projects. This shortage inflates rental markets and forces families into smaller, overcrowded living spaces. Young adults delay moving out, and workers endure long commutes because they can't afford to live near jobs. The lack of supply makes affordability not just a dream deferred, but one that may never materialize for millions. 6. Agricultural vulnerabilities. California produces a third of the nation's vegetables and 2/3 of its fruits and nuts. But this agricultural dominance comes with fragility. Drought, labor shortages, and rising water costs threaten the system. Farmers face increasing pressure from environmental regulations and climate change, leaving them less competitive. This vulnerability doesn't just impact farmers, it trickles down to consumers through higher grocery bills. For a state so dependent on agriculture, its instability feels like a ticking time bomb, where one bad season can ripple through the economy. 5. Declining quality of life in cities. California's biggest urban areas are losing their shine. San Francisco battles open-air drug markets and cleanliness issues. Los Angeles contends with sprawl, homelessness, and pollution. Sacramento faces affordability problems while struggling to modernize. The daily experience in these cities often contrasts sharply with their glossy reputations. For many residents, quality of life feels like it's deteriorating. Public spaces less safe, neighborhoods less vibrant, and the sense of community weakened. When daily life feels more like survival than enjoyment, the appeal of the Golden State fades quickly. 4. Overregulation of small businesses. Small business owners face some of the toughest regulatory hurdles in the nation. From labor laws mandating specific benefits to health and safety requirements, compliance costs pile up. While the intent may be protection, the reality is crushing for mom and pop shops. Entrepreneurs often leave for states with friendlier climates, draining California of local innovation. Residents notice too. Beloved local cafes, bookstores, or service providers shutter, replaced by large corporations that can afford the overhead. For a state that prides itself on creativity, overregulation makes it harder for the little guys to survive. 3rd, mental health strain. All of these issues, high costs, overcrowding, traffic, disasters, pile up into a heavy mental burden. Studies show higher stress levels among California residents compared to many other states. Anxiety over housing, safety, and climate risks weighs heavily. Access to affordable mental health care is limited, making it harder to cope. For some, the California dream feels like a mirage, replaced with burnout and fatigue. When living somewhere takes more energy than it gives, mental health inevitably suffers. 2. Mass exodus of residents. The culmination of these pressures has sparked a major trend, people leaving California in droves. Census data shows hundreds of thousands relocating to states like Texas, Arizona, and Nevada. These movers cite affordability, safety, and quality of life as primary reasons. The exodus isn't just about individuals, it's reshaping the state's economy, politics, and demographics. Businesses follow residents, and communities shrink as families pack up. When people vote with their feet, it's a powerful sign that living in California has become unsustainable. 1. The shattered California dream. At the very core, the greatest reason why living in California has become impossible is the collapse of the California dream. Once it symbolized prosperity, sunshine, and opportunity. Today, for many, it means endless bills, long commutes, unsafe streets, and constant stress. The promise of abundance has been replaced with a struggle to survive. This disillusionment is perhaps the hardest pill to swallow. When a dream becomes a burden, it's no longer worth chasing. Now that you know the 35 reasons why living in California has become impossible, which one surprised you the most? Have you experienced any of them? We'd love to hear from you, as your comment based on your experience could help many others. Although what would also help many of us is watching the video I'm sharing on screen. We all like to always have something to share and learn more about, and that's precisely what you'll achieve by watching this video. But first, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit like. Otherwise, we may never see each other again.